Love is the greatest power that disarms hatred and silences evil, because love has the unique ability to penetrate places that nothing else can reach. When you look at the world around you, you see wars, divisions, anger, jealousy, and brokenness, but at the root of it all, you will always discover the absence of love. Where love is missing, hatred finds a voice, bitterness finds a stage, and evil begins to build a throne. But when love steps in, something begins to shift. Love dismantles the weapons that hatred tries to use. It pulls down the walls that evil tries to build, and it silences the voices that chaos tries to raise. Love is not weak, it is not passive, and it is not a soft option. Love is fierce, love is courageous, love is bold, and love is the only true antidote to the poison of hate. Think about how hatred feeds on division. It feeds on difference, on wounds that have not healed, and on hearts that have not forgiven. Hatred grows in soil that is hardened and closed off. But when love enters the picture, it softens what is hard, it heals what is wounded, and it bridges what is divided. Love has the power to take two enemies and turn them into brothers, to take broken families and knit them back together, to take a bitter heart and make it whole again. Evil thrives in separation, but love flourishes in unity. That is why love is the greatest power, because it does what nothing else can do. You can legislate rules, you can create systems, you can enforce order, but if there is no love, hatred will always find a way to rise again. Only love can reach the heart and transform it from the inside out. Love disarms hatred because hatred always needs a response to survive. Hatred looks for conflict, it feeds on reaction, it wants to provoke and stir up more fire. But love refuses to fight on the enemy's terms. Love responds with patience when provoked, with kindness when insulted, with grace when wronged. And in doing so, love starves hatred of the fuel it needs to burn. Hatred cannot survive without someone to echo it, but love breaks the cycle by refusing to repeat the words of anger. That is why love is not weakness, it is strength under control. It takes more power to love someone who hates you than it does to fight them. It takes more courage to forgive than to retaliate. It takes more faith to bless than to curse. Love doesn't meet hatred on the battlefield. Love removes the battlefield altogether by silencing the weapons of evil. Evil always thrives in noise, in accusation, in gossip, in division, in the tearing down of others. But love silences evil because love refuses to give it a platform. Love covers, love restores, love uplifts, love protects. When evil tries to magnify someone's flaws, love highlights their value. When evil tries to exploit weakness, love strengthens the broken places. When evil tries to shout the loudest, love speaks a quieter word that pierces deeper. Love silences evil not by shouting louder, but by speaking with greater authority. The voice of love is not just heard with the ears, it is felt with the heart. It cannot be denied, it cannot be drowned out, and it cannot be overpowered. History itself testifies to this truth. Think of the greatest movements that broke chains, tore down walls, and shifted societies. They were built on the foundation of love. Leaders who chose peace over violence, forgiveness over vengeance, reconciliation over division, proved that love is stronger than hate. Hatred may roar like a lion, but love endures like a rock. Hatred may create fear for a moment, but love creates freedom for generations. Evil may have its day, but love writes the story that lasts forever. Even in personal lives, you see how love transforms what hatred seeks to destroy. A child raised in love grows strong, but a child deprived of it struggles with wounds that words cannot explain. A marriage without love becomes a battlefield, but with love it becomes a sanctuary. A community ruled by suspicion becomes divided, But a community ruled by love becomes unbreakable. Evil always wants to whisper lies. You are alone, you are forgotten, you are worthless. But love comes in with the louder truth. You are valued, you are chosen, you are enough. That is why love silences evil, because love speaks with the authority of truth, and truth always drowns out lies. Love is the language of God Himself. When love rules, it reflects the divine order in which creation was designed to operate. God is love, and where His presence dwells, hatred cannot survive. That is why spiritual battles are won not by shouting louder at the enemy, but by filling your heart with more love than he can resist. The enemy thrives on division, but he cannot defeat unity. He thrives on fear, but he cannot overcome perfect love. He thrives on bitterness, but he cannot withstand forgiveness. Love is the very weapon that strips evil of its strength and leaves it powerless. So when we say love is the greatest power, we are not speaking of something sentimental. We are speaking of something unstoppable. Love builds where hatred tears down. Love heals where evil destroys. Love creates where darkness tries to suffocate. And love is the only force that evil cannot copy, counterfeit, or conquer. It has no equal, no rival, and no weakness. When love governs the heart, bitterness and darkness lose authority, because love is not only an outward action, but an inward posture that changes the very atmosphere of the soul. A heart that is ruled by love is like a garden full of light, and in that place bitterness cannot take root. Darkness cannot find a corner to hide, because the presence of love illuminates everything within. When love becomes the ruler of your inner life, it sets the tone for how you think, how you speak, and how you respond to the challenges around you. Bitterness, resentment, and anger may knock on the door, but when love is on the throne, those voices are denied entrance. Bitterness begins as a seed planted by pain, disappointment, or betrayal. Left unchecked, it grows into a tree that produces fruit of anger, envy, and division. Many people walk around carrying bitterness because of something that was done to them, something that was said about them, or something that life did not give them. But when love governs the heart, bitterness loses its power to grow. Love heals wounds that bitterness tries to keep open. Love reminds you that forgiveness is stronger than revenge, that mercy is more liberating than resentment, and that peace is more valuable than grudges. Love is the gardener that pulls up the weeds of bitterness before they can choke the soul. Darkness, too, seeks to find a home in the heart. Darkness thrives in fear, in lies, in shame, in guilt, and in hopelessness. But when love governs the heart, it becomes a sanctuary of light. Love exposes lies by speaking truth. Love breaks fear by offering security. Love silences shame by declaring worth. Love pushes back hopelessness by speaking promise. Where love rules, there is no hiding place for darkness, because love shines into every shadowed place and fills it with warmth. You cannot hold on to darkness and embrace love at the same time. One has to bow to the other, and when love is enthroned, darkness is dethroned. To let love govern the heart is to surrender control of your responses to a higher power. It is to say, I will not allow anger to dictate my words. I will not allow resentment to control my actions. I will not allow fear to direct my decisions. Instead, love becomes the guiding principle. And when love guides, decisions are made with wisdom, words are spoken with care, and actions are carried out with compassion. A heart ruled by love does not ignore the reality of pain, but it refuses to let pain become the dictator. A heart ruled by love does not deny the presence of struggle, but it refuses to let struggle turn into bitterness. Think about relationships where love governs. In a marriage, when love rules, forgiveness flows more freely. Patience becomes stronger, kindness becomes natural, and conflicts no longer escalate into wars. In families, when love governs, generations are connected, children are nurtured, and wounds from the past are healed. In communities, when love rules, cooperation replaces competition, unity replaces division, and peace becomes the atmosphere. Wherever love governs, bitterness loses its argument, and darkness loses its grip. Love as a governing power is not weak, it is strong. It is not blind, it sees clearly. Love does not pretend there is no wrong, but it chooses not to let wrong write the final story. Love does not erase history, but it transforms the future. Bitterness and darkness gain authority when they are allowed to sit unchallenged, but love challenges them by refusing to give them the final word. When you choose to love, you strip bitterness of its voice, and you silence the lies of darkness. There is something liberating about living with love as your ruler. You wake up with peace instead of anger. You walk through challenges with hope instead of despair. You interact with others with compassion instead of suspicion. Your mind becomes free from the endless replay of offenses because love has silenced that record. Your soul becomes light because you are not weighed down by grudges. Bitterness drains energy, but love renews it. Darkness creates confusion, but love brings clarity. To let love govern is to choose freedom over captivity. Even in the face of injustice, love governs differently. Bitterness will always demand revenge. Darkness will always whisper retaliation, but love calls for a higher way. Love demands accountability without malice, justice without hatred, correction without cruelty. Love does not allow itself to be walked over, but it refuses to walk in the same darkness as the oppressor. Love governs with strength, not weakness. It holds the line, but it does not lose its compassion. It confronts, but it does not destroy. It speaks truth, but it does not abandon mercy. That is why love is the most powerful ruler of the heart. It has authority over both the light and the dark. Spiritual battles are won in the heart long before they are won in the world. If your heart is governed by bitterness, everything you touch will be tainted by resentment. If your heart is ruled by darkness, your perspective will always lean toward fear and negativity. But if love governs your heart, you become a vessel of healing, peace, and strength. Love influences not only your own life, but also the lives of everyone connected to you. A heart filled with love becomes a light in a dark room, a source of hope in a hopeless situation, a reminder of grace in a bitter world. When love governs the heart, even your enemies lose power over you. They may speak against you, but love will not let their words take root. They may hurt you, but love will not allow bitterness to grow from the wound. They may try to break you, but love will not let darkness have the final say. Love shields, strengthens, and restores. And when you walk with a heart governed by love, you walk in authority over the forces that once tried to control you. A life ruled by love creates an atmosphere where healing and victory thrive, because love is not only something you carry within, it is something that radiates outward and transforms the very environment around you. When a person chooses to live by love, everything about their presence shifts. The way they walk into a room, the way they speak, the way they listen, the way they forgive, it all creates a space where others feel safe, valued, and uplifted. Love does not just change the individual who carries it. It changes the atmosphere for everyone connected to them. Where love rules, healing begins to flow naturally, because people are no longer weighed down by fear or suspicion. Victory becomes possible because the weight of bitterness and defeat has been lifted. Healing thrives in love because love has the power to restore what was broken. Wounds caused by rejection, betrayal, or loss may run deep, but love is the balm that begins to soothe and close them. Love speaks to the broken-hearted, telling them they are not forgotten. Love whispers to the weary, reminding them that rest is possible. Love looks at the scars of the past not with judgment, but with compassion, and it declares that brokenness does not define destiny. Healing can never thrive in an environment of hatred or bitterness, because bitterness keeps wounds open and hatred pours salt into them. But love nurtures, love protects, love provides the soil where restoration can take place. Victory thrives in love because love fuels perseverance. Hatred drains strength, but love renews it. Bitterness keeps you stuck in the past, but love pushes you into the future. Darkness convinces you that defeat is permanent, but love tells you that triumph is still possible. A life ruled by love refuses to surrender to failure because love always finds a way to rise. When you live with love as your guiding force, you stop fighting battles out of anger and start walking in victory through peace. Love changes the way you see challenges, not as walls to block you, but as opportunities to demonstrate resilience and grace. When love rules a life, it reshapes relationships into places of healing instead of harm. Friendships built on love become sources of encouragement, not competition. Marriages grounded in love become sanctuaries where wounds can heal, not battlefields where scars multiply. Families centered in love create legacies of strength, where every generation learns the power of compassion, forgiveness, and unity. Communities guided by love create atmospheres where division cannot survive, because love builds bridges where hatred once dug trenches. Victory in relationships is found not in control, but in love that honors, respects, and uplifts. The atmosphere created by love is one of freedom. People feel free to be themselves without fear of rejection. They feel free to dream without fear of failure. They feel free to grow without fear of being judged. Love opens doors that bitterness keeps locked. Love breaks chains that fear tries to tighten. Love tears down walls that darkness builds. When love is the ruling spirit in your life, it sets not only you free, but also everyone who encounters you. That freedom creates an environment where people begin to heal from their past, and where they can step into victories they never thought possible. Consider the workplace where love rules. Instead of gossip and backstabbing, there is encouragement and teamwork. Instead of competition that tears others down, there is collaboration that builds everyone up. Healing thrives there because people no longer carry the wounds of constant criticism. Victory thrives there because people are motivated to give their best, knowing they are valued. Or think about a church where love rules. The broken walk in and feel whole again. The lost find direction. The wounded find hope. Healing becomes natural and victory becomes expected. Love as a ruling power in life creates resilience. When storms come, love keeps the foundation strong. When trials arise, love keeps faith alive. When enemies attack, love protects the heart from turning bitter. Healing thrives in resilience because wounds do not stay open forever. Victory thrives in resilience because defeat does not have the final word. Love keeps you moving when everything else tells you to stop. Love keeps you hoping when circumstances tell you to give up. Love keeps you forgiving when bitterness tells you to hold on to the pain. That is why a life ruled by love is unstoppable. It will always find healing in brokenness and victory in struggle. When love rules, even your failures are transformed. Instead of being chains, failures become teachers. Instead of being marks of shame, they become stepping stones to wisdom. Love silences the voice of condemnation and replaces it with the voice of grace. Healing thrives when you no longer carry shame as a burden. Victory thrives when you no longer fear mistakes, but use them as fuel to grow. A life ruled by love does not run from failure, it learns from it. It does not hide from imperfection, it embraces growth. That kind of life becomes a living testimony to others that love has the power to turn defeat into triumph. Love also creates a contagious atmosphere When people encounter someone who lives ruled by love, they feel inspired to live the same way. Love multiplies itself, spreading healing and victory wherever it goes. One act of kindness can heal a broken day. One word of encouragement can lift a defeated spirit. One choice to forgive can set a whole family free. Love is not just personal, it is communal. It spills over from one life into many, and its impact cannot be measured. Healing and victory are never contained. They flow from one heart to another when love is in charge. Ultimately, a life ruled by love is a life that refuses to let bitterness, anger, or darkness take the throne. It is a life that chooses to create an atmosphere of hope, peace, and restoration wherever it goes. Healing thrives in that space because people are no longer defined by their wounds, but by the love that surrounds them. Victory thrives in that space because defeat no longer writes the story, but love writes it instead.